Decisions. So as I mentioned, you will be awarded a franchise at some point, and going through discovery, in person, virtual, or if that company does not offer, and you'll be awarded and given a certain length of time. And basically, they're doing that because they are reserving that territory and locations for you so that no one else could purchase those territories in that franchise. Prior to this, going to that discovery and knowing what the process looks like, because a good franchisor will kind of give you a timeline, is that you may want to look into hiring a franchise attorney. This is not mandatory, but it is recommended. A franchise, specifically a franchise attorney, and they don't have to be in the state that you're located in. What that franchise attorney will do is that they'll review the FDD in its entirety. They'll go through some questions that you should maybe be bringing up, some concerns, on occasion, a potential change. Now, most franchise disclosure documents and agreements are really not many changes are made. Some brands will refuse to make any changes. So you're looking for clarity. You're looking for someone to see if there are any red flags, if there's any special arrangements to add an addendum to get that in writing. For example, there you have a major life event, you're getting married in the next couple months. Maybe you can't open up within the 6 months. Can they extend that a month or two, or whatever the case may be? You want to ask those questions sooner than later, and a franchise attorney will go through that and make any suggestions. But really, the goal here is not to change the agreement. It's more of peace of mind that everything looks good. The language is typical in a franchise agreement. We've been referred individuals, franchise attorneys that do this. You want to make sure on it, if you're interviewing franchise attorneys, asking them specifically, hey, can you work with it? Can you review this specific brand? On occasion, there may be a conflict where the franchise attorney is already working with a specific brand. There are attorneys that switch their business and just do franchise disclosure document reviews. So that makes it a lot easier. But whenever you're interviewing, you may need a second person just in case there is a conflict. So again, that's optional. Costs, I've seen two, three, $4,000 and up, depending on a flat fee or hourly fee. That's usually done when you're very close to making that decision, so that you're not spending money to every single franchise that you talk to. So as you get really close, that franchise attorney can go through that process, and we've seen turnarounds of a week or two, depending on how many questions and calls and things like that. So that is really the process. So to kind of review, is a franchise a good fit for me? Start there. No need to continue if we got to hit those three criteria. Then we go into, what does the ideal business look like? Not what brands are out there, but what are the guts of the business via the characteristics. We get funding options and things like that. We get pre-approved to show the franchisor that we're qualified, kind of like a pre-qualification of a home. We look at a starting point. I recommend 3 brands that kind of all compare and contrast. Continuing step 4 with reviewing each of the brands, reviewing the franchise model, making changes accordingly, making changes to the brands we're looking at, followed by final decisions. Okay, this brand checks off the boxes. I did the due diligence. I got funding options. I had a franchise attorney review everything, and I've been approved. Now let's get rocking and rolling. What does the roadmap look like from me signing the agreement today? How quickly can I get funding, especially with an SBA? It could take 2 or 3 months. A retirement rollover is going to be, just say, a month, if on average, from what I've seen. When is the next training? Realistically, when can I get up and running? So if you are leaving a job, exactly up until when to give notice, obviously, to your employer and things like that. Mapping it out, letting the family know what's going on. There's going to be a big, not just financial, but time investment when launching any new business. So those are kind of my 5. If you want to dive in sooner than later, we do weekly calls. Usually you got an intro call, a consultation call, and then a franchise review call. And I'm making intros directly to the brands. Each of the brands will contact you directly via email or phone call, provide you some additional information, and then it's due diligence time. We're talking weekly. We're following up after your rounds of calls for feedback and things like that, and we're helping where we can. And sometimes, as I mentioned, we pick up on things that you're mentioning that you maybe not be realizing as you're going through the process. Wanted to share my screen really quick here, and as I mentioned, We go through the process. There's no cost, there's no catch, and we can work with you anywhere in the country. I cover the entire US and Canada. We are paid directly from the franchise companies, a referral fee. And just like an executive recruiter, just like a real estate agent, when you buy a home, you don't pay the agent, the seller does. Same thing in franchising. When we make the introductions, you get notified right away, as opposed to just in submitting your information online, because they know that if we have worked together, you've been qualified. We've gone through the process. We've talked financials and what a franchise is and things like that. So you definitely get moved to the top of the list, contacted immediately, usually within 24 to 48 business hours. Now, let's look at, I'm going to share my screen really quick here. So this is our new website. So the website is ggthefranchiseguide.com. There's a get started tab here, which will, help you to book a call, give you there's going to be some qualifying questions there. But we just redesigned the site. So in the site, there's a little bit about me, how it works in the entire process. And unfortunately, anytime I share, it always delays a little bit. Talks about financial requirements, talks about who we can help and how we can help you, the various steps in the process that we kind of talked about, and we'll revisit there. In the media, we've been on 100 plus franchises. We have a blog, but the podcast is something that we release weekly. And what we did here is we covered different things, 5 key takeaways for an entire year's worth of a podcast. We interviewed Jason Pfeiffer from Entrepreneur Magazine, which was really cool to kind of hear his perspective. There's a search option here. So if there's a specific topic, because we have over 200 episodes, type in the topic and it'll pull every blog and every podcast or any content we created that will kind of address a specific topic if you want to dive in there. There's a book. It's a supplement to all our coaching. My book is a complete blueprint to buying a franchise. We dive into other areas such as building a team, an attorney, accountant, CPA, financial advisor. So that's super helpful. There's a free download of the book. This has been a popular section based off of when we redesigned the site, the FAQ page. What are our fees? This is very transparent. What is a franchise? Why a franchise? Process, how to get started. That's the biggest one. Do I need experience in a roofing franchise? And typically the answer is no. You need a transferable skill set. Let's see. Success rate. Do I find a business I'm passionate about? Who is a great fit for a franchise? And we talked about all these, but these are short little videos, anywhere from 1, 2, or 3 minutes. And basically this one here, success rate. Well, success rate is based off of really finding the right fit. So it all starts with doing your due diligence, not rushing the process, being open and honest, not overextending yourself financially, and really spending the time to understand who you're partnering with. A franchise is a 5, 10, up to 20-year agreement. So you want to make sure the fit's there. So that's going to be super important. So I encourage you to check those out. We have a workshop for people looking to transition out of corporate. And then there's, as I mentioned, get started. You can go right in and book a call with me today. There's going to be an application that's going to walk you through, as I mentioned in the show, different parts of who's a good fit for a franchise. It's right in the application. It's done for you. We've really simplified this, and you work directly with me. So there are no questions as far as who am I working with. We're going to go through this. It's me. I don't have staff or employees that I outsource to that are going to be doing this. We're going to work together. I've owned businesses for about 25 years. I've been in franchising since 2007. So what is that? 18, 19 years or so. I get it. I've been a corporate exec. I've been laid off. I've owned a non-franchise business, and I've owned franchise businesses. I can provide feedback. I can provide mistakes I've made. Plenty of mistakes in my first business of trying to be an expert in all areas and micromanaging, to once I learned that I was doing that, how my business kind of really took off. It's really learning. If you can learn from our mistakes and from our experiences, not to say you'll never make a mistake, but it'll definitely help with the process. And the expectation, our job is not to sugarcoat. So I always tell everyone, a franchise is not a set it and forget it. This is not passive income. You're going to be actively in the business. The hours may vary and the roles may vary, but maybe it's really managing a general manager from afar, but really empowering them to run the business, being on the same page and going to training together, and finding a franchise that has a train the trainer program if the manager is hired later on. But support is there, but it just doesn't all rely and fall on the franchisor. It relies on you. You got to find the right people. They'll guide you and maybe say these are some things to look for in that key employee. But really spending the time, and if I learned anything, it's really getting clear on delegating. What's everyone's roles, writing it out. If there's a role in question, putting it out there and deciding, hey, is this a role that you take or I take, or is it a role? Is it social media posting? Is it one person, or is it two people and one person posts Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then the other person posts the other days? So got to get crystal clear so that there are no gaps in the business. And it's going to be trial and error. There are going to be certain things that come up that are new, and then you'll decide together who's going to attack that role so that it just doesn't sit in limbo. I know when I hired my general manager, it was an ongoing list of things. And if it was working with the accountant or working with the FDD, that's a role I took. I said, I'll handle that. That could be done remotely. I wanted the general manager to focus on growth, profitability, making sure customers were happy. So I share my experiences. As I mentioned, I can work with you. If we figure out a franchise is a great fit, but the timing isn't right, no problem. We'll give you the resources, the book, the podcast, the webinar. Maybe we schedule a 6-month follow-up. Reason being, financials need to be a little bit greater, and or credit score needs some improvement. That's okay. We may work together and figure out a franchise is not a good fit. Well, I work in doing this and being in business for 25 years, and have attended various chamber of events and things like that, and the vast network. We've made introductions to other individuals in different key areas outside of franchising. So don't be shy. If you have questions, or no silly questions. If you want to take advantage of the site and then book a call, great. If not, jump on. We can definitely get through if a franchise is a good fit, and a consultation call. If we start in the beginning of the week and get all that handled on the first week, and potentially look at brands by week 2. We have a vast network of brands that we work with. We have full-time staff that are constantly pre-screening brands to make sure that they're checking off the boxes as far as growth and support and things like that, and just having a plan to support their franchise owners going forward and a growth strategy. Love what I do. Would love to help you out, and looking forward to chatting anytime soon. 2025, looking forward to it. People talk about trends and things like that. At the end of the day, you want that support. You want to make sure it's a viable business. There are certain industries that people feel a little bit safer, that are not affected so much by the economy and trends. And in other cases, there are people that have various opinions. So we'll walk you through kind of what's out there, your options, and looking forward to helping any way possible.